Hi, everyone, and welcome to our delayed live. I'm so sorry, everyone. I literally just spaced out, and you were waiting for me, Veronika. So sorry.
No problem. I was just already half asleep. Never mind. Yeah.
Well, as you all know, we do this 11 a.m. On every Wednesday. If nothing else happens, we have this live Q&A. So I know one person is here. At least thanks for being here. And as people are joining, just share your questions in the comments section, and we will get to them. But before that, I have an exciting announcement that I haven't shared with everyone, which is that you, Veronika, have joined as a coach in bedtime.
Yes, I have, and it's super exciting. I'm really happy about it. It's like really my life has now sense.
So glad,
Yeah.
and it was just in time because we were getting really busy. So I was so glad you
Yeah.
could join. But I see we already have a question. But before we jump into the questions, like how has it been the first 2 weeks working as a coach?
Yeah, it's really nice, and I'm really happy that I really get to coach like every day. So I'm really getting into the teachings, and I really have to think about the replies, and just to see how these insomnia evolves. It is so different when you experience it yourself. And when you see other people, you have like this position of an observer, and you can see it from the distance that how the path is actually. And when you have this distance, you can be more like objective, or how to say, like you don't have this emotional attachment to it, and it's easier to lead the people, like to tell them like look at it this way or this way. So I think this is really helpful.
Yeah.
And one more thing that I would like to add before we had this Q&A, I was just thinking what we can start with. And if I can just say a
Yeah.
little observation that I made, since I'm becoming a coach, and I observe a little bit more like my sleep, my thoughts about sleep, and so that I can understand and serve people better. And what happened recently? Actually, last week I was watching the live Q&A with Coach Michelle and yourself, and you were talking about change reaction. And I think I experienced something like this because it was during Christmas holidays. I got sick with COVID, and it was in a really, really long time, like several years, that I had to spend several days in bed. And when the first day, the whole day when I spent in bed, I was, this. I think this was the change, and the reaction to it. I basically didn't sleep most of the night. I was not worried. I was fearless. I was like really calm, no anxiety about this. But I think somehow my brain just thought like, okay, this is something changed. Let's keep an eye on it. And so he kept me a little bit alerted. And I was really, really, I maybe get some sleep towards the evening, towards the morning. And the next, what happened is that the other night I slept just fine, because I had no emotional attachment to these sleepless nights. And this is what I want to point out to all our listeners, to all the clients, and everybody who suffers from insomnia, that sleepless nights are normal. That if there is a change, our brain can react with sleeplessness. It's really, really normal. When I had insomnia, if something like this happened, it would spiral me down into consecutive nights of not sleeping, and I would be so scared. I would be lost in fear and panic, and it would be a really tough speed bump. But like this, it was just one sleepless night, and it is just normal. And the other thing is that the only requirement for sleep is wakefulness. Because I really I was like dying dead in bed. I did not exercise. I did nothing. I took no supplement. I was just surviving the days, but I slept just fine.
Yeah, that's so nice to hear. Thanks for sharing that. And the whole thing you said about like clarity and all that comes from being a coach, like looking at things from sort of the outside perspective. It's really about like when our students become their own coaches and start to
Yeah,
seeing things from the outside themselves, like you did this time, like that
exactly.
magic happens that time. So
Yeah.
yeah, let's so we already have a bunch of questions, so let's jump in and look at some questions from the community. Libertarian Spirit is here. Hi, I'm struggling with a sleep disorder for years. I fall asleep within 10 minutes. I don't wake up at night. In the morning, I wake up tired, confused, dizzy, but sleep study detected only mild sleep apnea. And I can conclude that I have complex sleep disorder, which includes mild sleep apnea and anxiety deriving the sleep disorder. On top of that, do you think mild sleep apnea can feed insomnia? All right. Well, I'll
Uh,
say first. Yeah. I'll
sorry.
just really quickly say that for anybody who's not familiar, like mild sleep apnea is basically when we have some difficulty breathing our sleep related to like the tongue falling back, some snoring, and a little bit like that. And um, disclaimer is like we don't diagnose, treat any sleep disorders. Anybody who thinks something is wrong with you, you have a disorder, illness, talk to your doctor, of course. But yeah, with that said, like, did you have some initial thoughts on this, Veronica?
Yes, of course. Well, like my very initial thought was, if you were asking that, uh, if this could contribute to your insomnia, yes and no. Uh, we differentiate between sleep disruption and insomnia. Sleep disruption is an obvious reason why we don't sleep, like sleep apnea could be. And insomnia is the fear of not sleeping. So if you say that you have some anxiety around not sleeping, I think this is just, and you have some fear around this. This is something we can help you to work on, or you can work with the help of this channel to work yourself.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what I'm thinking too. Like, yeah, that sleep disruption can come from
Yeah,
many things, like snoring, sleep apnea, but that's not an ongoing like inner
exactly.
struggle. That comes from the fear. And the other thing I thought about when I heard this was, it's sort of interesting that there's no struggle falling asleep, no really waking up, but feeling confused, one like etc. in the morning, which reminded me of like Betul, for example. Like her
Hmm.
story was like always feeling unrefreshed
Yeah.
and I think this is often this is not an uncommon way that we can experience insomnia, that we have this little bit of hyperarousal throughout the night. We think we're sleeping fine or the whole night, but that little kind of high energy, like it leaves us with a kind of like some feeling unrefreshed, and also the daytime, like pondering and thinking about it, also can make us tired. So not uncommon. And I just point this out because when we think something is unusual, strange with us, that can be tricky. But when we see that other people have had the same experience, that can always help a lot. Let's jump into the next one. Tom says, hey, Daniel and Veronica, what I've begun to notice whenever I have a speed bump or difficult night, I seem to binge watch your videos, which leads me to feel more anxious because my brain is trying to find a quick solution, which is only me to blame. Your insights help a ton, but I want to know your thoughts on how I should view your content. Thanks. Nice one. Yeah. What do you
Hmm.
think, Veronica, when you hear this?
That is really an interesting question and a good one. I think when you start to binge watching the videos, it is like a safety blanket that you are having, and you are really looking for a quick solution, which you, I guess, already know. There is no quick solution for insomnia, and I think I'll let you go from.
Yeah, sure. No, I think, no, but I
Yeah,
think you're onto the same thing I'm thinking about, which is basically, and this question comes up quite often, like,
yeah.
what should I do? And I think like it's about the intent. Like when we know that I'm doing this to like escape my anxiety,
Mhm.
that is tricky. And because often like the more we try to escape something, the more kind of that becomes amplified. On the other hand, when we do something just because like this feels like self-care, self-kindness, this actually makes it easier for me to be anxious, for example, then I would say there's no struggle. So I think to me, this is a courage and kindness thing, that on one
Mhm.
hand, courage helps when somebody like Tom Tom's has like a speed bump or difficult night and realizes my instinct is to start binge watching these videos, and realizes, oh, I'm trying to escape my own emotions. And then maybe can find the courage to be like, I'm not going to do that tonight. I'm just going to do something else. That can be really helpful, because we're not trying to escape some perceived threat. On the flip side, if we're like, oh no, I have to watch them, I'm going to watch them anyway, and we do it, and then we criticize ourselves, like, why did I do that? What's wrong with me? Then that's also like, there's too much pressure. So we can just be kind to ourselves when we did something to make ourselves feel better. So I think both courage and kindness can help, and that can give us this kind of inner compass to see, should I kind of try to deploy some courage and not watch, or should I just like be kind to myself and let my brain do whatever it wants to do at this moment? Something like that can be really helpful, I think. But does that make sense to you, Veronika?
Yeah, absolutely. What else? I think it's like really natural because our brain is a problem solving machine, and it is just like when you have the first thought, like I'm going to binge watch your videos. This is because you are looking really for that one piece of information that will solve your insomnia, and this is really very normal. And again, when we look at the sleep efforts, you need to look behind the intent. Why are you doing this? And when you know the intent, I want to watch it because I want to solve my insomnia, and this is a sleep effort. You just know the intent, and knowing the intent itself neutralizes the sleep effort.
Yes, exactly. I see it so much like that. 100%. All right, let's I hope that makes sense, Tom to you. And we will look at this one from Filthy Rich, who's saying, I'm struggling with sleep maintenance insomnia. I wake up after 3 hours and can't fall asleep. It's been 4 months now. Please help.
Mhm.
Sorry to hear this, of course, but glad you're here. And yeah, this is a common type of question. What do you think when you hear this, Veronika?
My very first thought is that uh, if Filthy Rich looks at the hypnogram of a normal sleeper, there are many awakenings during the night. And only when we have some kind of hyper arousal present, then we kind of like remember these awakenings. And when we attach to them emotionally, when we give them this negative meaning, oh my God, why am I so awake? Why am I? This shouldn't be happening. Why I just cannot sleep through the night? This really can lead to a lot of rumination, a lot of negative thinking, and raising the hyperarousal. So this is my first thought. And the second thought, just beat the clock. Because we in here we advise to go the timeless way, because when you don't know the time, when you then you just you are taking away the control your brain wants to maintain. So when you just don't look at the clock, it's over time it's getting easier, because um, it's really interesting how our brain works. When we just look at the night, and when we think like, oh my God, I had like uh, let's say 3 or 4 hours of sleep, I'm not going to function. And we okay, on 3 hours of sleep, I feel like this bad. And on like 7 hours of sleep, I feel like this good. Then it can get a little bit tricky, because if you think about it, like many times, I'm sure it has happened in the past, like when you pulled an all-nighter, or when you have a like really rough night, you did just fine because you were not thinking about the bad night, you know. So you really take the negative connotation from your thinking, from your mind, and this really helps a lot.
Yeah. So actually, three things. You mentioned three things that are really nice there, Veronika. And
Okay.
right, it was one, it's normal to wake up and we don't react to it. It's no struggle, and we can be timeless. And then also,
Mhm.
like, I guess maybe similar, like the story. When we remove the
Yeah.
story, there's no struggle. Yeah, very nicely said. I had nothing to add. I was just going to do my usual rhetorical question, like, how do you know it was 3 hours later, which is
Exactly.
going to the same thing you said. All right, Filthy Rich. Thanks for your help. Anytime. So glad you're here. All right. The plug is here and has a question. Coach, I'm stuck because when I'm about to go to sleep, I feel no anxiety or fear or nothing, and I also am sleepy. Are those are two good signs already? Oh, okay. So it's just like when I'm about to go to sleep, I feel no anxiety or fear or nothing, and I'm sleepy. Those are two good signs already, right? I think you just let's oh no, there's more, those are two good signs already, right? But somehow I still manage to wake up at 4 or 2 a.m. And throughout the day I just try to take my mind away from insomnia and be busy. I've been insomnia for about 4 weeks now. And also when I say the times 3, 4, 5 a.m. out loud, and my brain seems to be scared and worried. Sounds silly, but I just know what to do. Thanks. I think when I read this, we already covered so much about like,
Mhm.
waking up in the middle of the night just before the plug. So I hope that answers a lot. But I think there was maybe one thing that was a little different here. And first of all, I want to say, like, when somebody says, I feel less anxious, feel less worried, and I'm more sleepy, those are good signs, right? I'm like, yeah, I think so. That sounds really nice. Absolutely. That sounds really, really nice. But here's the tricky one. I just try to take my mind away from insomnia and be busy, right? To me, it's kind of like, again, like the double thing. But when somebody says, like, I just try to not think of it during the day, what goes into your mind when you hear that, Veronika?
Yeah, that's kind of like you call it signal phobia, like when our brain is communicating with us with the thoughts, emotions, the sensations. And when we are trying to take our mind away from that, when we don't want to hear the signal, our brain is just sending more of the signal. So what I would advise you is just if you can take a little bit of time during the day and to sit down and just look into yourself, like what do you feel, how do you feel, and what do you think about your insomnia and not sleeping. I think that would help a lot. You can do it in your mind, and or you can do it in your just write it down like every day, like for a few minutes, like your thoughts which occur around sleep. This could be really helpful.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's the tricky thing that when we like, I always like the silly example when I tell people, like, don't think about a pink elephant. And of course we think about that, right? So the more we try to not think about it, we end up thinking more about it. On the flip side, if you're just like busy going about your day and you happen not to think about sleep much, and that's nice.
Yeah.
But exactly as Veronika says, like, I think when we try to not think about something, we actually think more about it. And on the flip side, when we take some time to actually think about it and allow us to hear it, it actually
Mhm.
is easier.
And there is one more thing that
Yeah.
I think it's quite nice. It's he says it just takes him like 10 minutes to fall asleep, and then he just wakes up in the middle of the night. I think that's already really nice. And
Yeah.
when he was writing that, he feels really calm. There is no anxiety. I just want to add that it's really normal. That when you just feel really calm, and and I got lost. What I wanted to say that when you feel really calm, and if you still wake up, this still can be some kind of also hyperarousal present, because like many people they say, I feel calm, I feel no anxiety, no fear, and I still don't sleep. Why is it so? So this is there is still some residual fear in your brain, and there is still some anxiety going on. But many things of these are going on in our subconscious mind. We really have no how do you say,
Control.
direct control over it. Exactly. Thank you. So I think if you just keep going and just let it go, just know that all this is normal. This is the part of the recovery journey. You'll just do well.
Yeah. Well said. Well said. Demystifying. All right, we can look at this one now. It's Anna is here. Maybe you can say the last name better. Can you pronounce this last name better than I do, Veronika?
Milosavljevic?
There you go, Anna Miloslavovich. You said it very nicely. Hope I didn't say that wrong. But Anna says, "Hi both. After 4 years of insomnia, I had a recent breakthrough thanks to you. I slept for a week. That's wonderful. However, the whole time I was waiting for a relapse, which ended happening. How do I prevent that? Oh my gosh, so much.
I love
You
this
need
question.
to discuss more. Like this is such an insightful question, and it's just kind of like a rich question. It like lends itself to
Yeah,
so much coaching. Um, I'll show it once again.
yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
Breakthrough, slept well for a week. The whole time she was waiting for a relapse, and then and it happening. How do I prevent that? So yeah, where do you go next when you hear this, Veronica?
So this is very common. It also happened to me. I suffered with insomnia for 8 years, and when I came to your channel, I really slept so good because I got the reassurance that there is nothing wrong with me. The whole insomnia things. It is just a normal bodily reaction to stress and anxiety, to the fear of being awake at night. It is so common. And how you call it, you call it like it's honeymoon with insomnia. Like it's like short or longer period of time when you just sleep peacefully. When it is at least easier for you to fall asleep. So and as usually the honeymoon sooner or later ends. And this is really normal because it's really a short time for your brain to learn new ways how to meet the fear of not sleeping. And when you just spend some more time on the channel, when you learn how to face your emotions, how to face your thoughts, how to face being awake at night, when you learn how to befriend the wakefulness, the nighttime wakefulness, I think these are the core teachings that will lead uh, to not being afraid of a relapse, of a setback, because they will happen on the way. And really, the the real recovery is when when I would ask you, Anna, what is going to happen if you don't sleep tonight? And you tell me, it's okay, it's normal. I survived it before, I can survive another one. And this is the real recovery, not sleeping every single night, a good night, to have a good night every single night. It's like to be okay with not sleeping.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. I love how you brought up the honeymoon teaching there, and um, I guess just to emphasize, like I think of this other teaching around like the cycle of resistance too, whereby like it starts with like we have like one night where we don't sleep, and then we're like, well, how can I prevent this night of not sleeping? And the act of trying to prevent it actually brings up that anxiety and preoccupation effort that keeps us having more struggle. So as odd as it sound, like it's true, whether it's the insomnia itself, whether it's like a speed bump or a relapse or whatever you want to call it, it's when we're no longer trying, so like when we're no longer trying to prevent anything from happening, it doesn't happen. So look, paradoxical, but I think that was a really nice question. And oh yeah, the speed bump playlist, by the way, could be really helpful for you, Anna. All right, let's look at one more question, and it'll be from Rahul here. Rahul says, "Hi Daniel, I'm not anxious, not scared, not frustrated either. I know I now sleep very well thanks to you. I just want to know when this yo-yo-ish pattern will break up. 8 days, 8 to 9 days, I sleep fine, and after that, I again find myself not sleeping for many days." All right, so we often see different patterns, and often it's this kind of like pendulum. Like I sleep one night, I don't sleep one night, and there's so many other patterns. But Rahul has this pattern of like sleeping fine for like quite a long time, then having some struggle, and but not, yeah. But anyways, yeah, Veronica, what do you think of this when you hear this?
I think some of the things we have already mentioned. That I think when you welcome any night, like when you don't think of any night that is good or bad, when you don't give any emotional attachment to it, this is the sooner the struggle ends. Because when you're looking for the patterns, there will be always this wondering and wondering and thinking about when it's going to this next pattern occur. When I think of my own journey, for example, uh, you know, during like a period of like half a year, it was so weird because uh, I could sleep well an whole month, and there were a few days around. At first, it was like around the full moon. Then, when I was about to get to like my days, it was like still something that I attach meaning to. Uh, I'm not going to sleep tonight because of this or that. But then I realized, yeah, okay, it's just a few days. I can handle that. It's not a problem. And then suddenly it just disappeared. There is no more pattern. There's nothing. So I can sleep any like all month, or I can meet any night. Like I said in the beginning, when I had COVID, I had a sleepless night, and it was still okay. So being okay with any outcome, with not being attached to the outcome, this is the key.
That really, really helps. And yeah, last thing to add here is just that, Rahul had, gone from a place of like really struggling like every night to now that only happens like every 8 to 9 nights. And I think, the answer is always really the same. Like, what was it that led you from this intense struggle to much less struggle? Well, it was actually acceptance, non-attachment, not creating a story, letting whatever happens happens. And it's the same thing that leads us to even more peace. So I think that will summarize really nicely for today. We'll conclude our Q&A for today, but I want to thank you for being here, Veronika. Thank everyone for being here, and we will be back soon.
Yeah, thank you. See you soon. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.